All right, let's dive into some news. Trent Williams, Ayuk obviously deal gets done, which clears the road seemingly for the Trent Williams to get done. It gets announced by his brother via a picture of a private flight back to San Francisco 49ers training. This is a big congrats to Trent, congrats to the Niners. Was there ever a fear that this wasn't going to get done? They were just waiting on the Ayuk deal to see what they could possibly do? Or how did this end up coming together so quickly, and was this always the plan?
Well, it's still not done. They're working on finalizing it, and I think there are still a couple of things that they're trying to get through to get him out to practice today in time. It's not done yet, but his agency has announced that they're finalizing it, so if the agency announces it, we'll take them at their word that they could get this finalized by the time the Niners practice today. What's amazing is that, listen, I think that they always wanted to get him back. He had no more guaranteed money in the deal. So when they rework this deal, when they finish it off, it's going to include a lot more guaranteed money in this and next year. That's what's going to happen here when they get this finalized at some point in time. And so that'll be one thing. But then you have the other element is this is a team that has a game 7 days from now, 6 days from now. And they have not had Brandon Ayuk, Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey on the practice field all at once getting ready for a game. So today, if this deal does get done, if they can dot the I's and cross the T's, which are not done just yet, if they can get all that done, then they conceivably, as they begin their preparations for the Jets, could have Trent Williams at left tackle, Christian McCaffrey, who missed all training camp basically with a strained calf, and Brandon Ayuk, who missed camp with a holding, all together, all at once. And again, this is a team that feels like it needs all these guys back to be operating to try to pursue the goals that they have for the upcoming season. But they always wanted this guy back, and they always felt like they would be able to find a way to get it done. And they're close enough now that obviously the agency feels like it's going to get done because the agency doesn't announce that if the deal is not going to get done.
Yeah, because they look like assholes if it doesn't get done. So let's assume that thing is at the goal line and they're about to put it in. Congrats to all of them. What all do you know about this at this current time, and what do we need to know about the situation, Schefter?
Well, obviously, it's a story that he's very fortunate to be alive here because this is a real serious situation. He gets shot. The bullet goes through his chest and passes out through his back. Jeez. The Niners put him on NFI. He gets shot about 3:30 on Saturday afternoon. You mentioned that party. Kyle Shanahan has a party, an end of camp, get ready for the season party. That was at his house that night. It was called for 6 o'clock. So they get the news at 3:30 that their first-round draft pick has been shot. They're driving to the hospital, team officials. They don't know what they're going to encounter. Obviously, Ricky Pearsall was incredibly fortunate to get out of there with significant injury. He was fortunate to get out of there with his life, frankly. And they were able, once they found that he was okay, to have that party that was planned. Okay. They were going to cancel it. I mean, they were going to cancel, but when they felt like he was okay, the party went on.
Ricky would want us to
and he gets put on NFI. He's out the first 4 games. And he's going to have a chance to come back and play starting in week 5, which is unbelievable considering what he went through on Saturday. Again, really fortunate there.
Yeah, 3:30 in the afternoon, seemingly in a pretty popular area, getting shot in the chest. That is wild to think about. Let's all keep our heads on a swivel in this world that we live in. But hey, Ricky, Godspeed, brother. Godspeed, brother. Let's talk about Haason Reddick. He's the only one that is still holding out, I guess. Has not been to the team's facility since the opening press conference whenever he got traded over there. Not sure he even knows what a meeting could look like as a New York Jet. How does this get resolved? Obviously, there's deadlines that drive decisions and everything like that. Season's very close. We're 2 days. Hey, Schefter, we're 2 days away from NFL kickoff. 2 days away. But anyways, what do you think is going to drive this decision, and how do we get a resolution to it?
Well, at some point, you'd have to think there is going to be a resolution. It just does not appear to be close at this time. I think right now, and these things could change with one phone call, but right now it would be a surprise if this deal gets done in time for him to play on Monday night. Obviously, it doesn't sound like he's going to be out there against the 49ers who get back Trent Williams, presuming that deal gets finished off. But Haason Reddick, again, as we've talked about, they're engaged in this game of chicken, a standoff where the Jets say, we need you to report before we're going to do a deal. And he says, I'm not reporting till you give me a deal. Neither side has been willing to budge right now. And as long as that's the case, he continues to sit on the sideline, not playing. And again, I haven't gotten any sense that they've made much progress. I haven't gotten any sense that this is getting done anytime soon. The sense I've gotten is that this looks like it's going to drag on. And we'll see if both sides can figure out a way to avert that. But right now, it doesn't sound that way.
Okay, I'm excited to see how it all pans out because I think that Jets team probably feels as if their defense is going to be very good. Then if Haason Reddick can come in and rush the passer on top of that, they figure it out. Let's go. Maybe get him in the building, too. He gets to experience what it's like here. Like, hey, you want to be.
If you just think about all these situations over time, right? At some point in time, they almost all get solved. Like, how often does a guy sit out for an entire year? It's very, very rare. The two Chicago Bears did it. Al Harris and Gary Fensick in 1986, I believe it was, or whatever it was. It's very rare that Sean Gilbert sat out for a while.
Le'Veon Bell told us he needed 17 M's in his front yard, and I guess they never offered that. He held out that entire
Who was that?
year. Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah. Le'Veon Bell. Another one. Well, that one went back and forth, too, and there were a couple of times where it felt like it could happen, and it didn't. It's just not very common. Now, this one today feels like it has the makings of that, right? But, again, they could bridge differences with one phone call and get him in.
Let's go to a different situation that's currently happening. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, Schefter, assuming people are getting very, very worried in Cincinnati as it is game week and Jamar Chase still doesn't have anything done and he's technically, I guess, a hold-in still. Is there anything coming up on game week against the Patriots for Jamar Chase?
Well, look, again, we are at go time. When we did this spot last week, we talked about the fact that there was going to be a renewed push, extra effort from all these teams and players at this point in time. We said that last Monday, I believe it was, and then a couple hours later, CeeDee Lamb gets done, Brandon Ayuk gets done later in the week, Trent Williams looks like it's on the way to getting done today, and we're waiting still on Haason Reddick, which again, doesn't feel like it's going to budge, and Jamar Chase. Now, this one is, I think it's tricky, and it's tricky because Ayuk and Lamb had 1 year remaining on their deals for teams that had been open about their desire to get deals done and to keep those guys. In this particular case, we got a receiver with 2 years left on his deal. Now, 2 years, look, they did Joe Burrow with 2 years left. And there have been other players like Devontae Smith that got done with 2 years left. But the Bengals have already said that they'd prefer to wait, even though they have been working on a deal. And I do believe they've made another push to try to get something done here. But they also know that Jamar is pretty dug in here. Now, do I think he's going to be willing to skip games? That's the question. We don't know how he feels because he hasn't spoken to the media. All we know is he hasn't gone through an actual football practice. Like, he went through the individual drills last week, but there's been no football practice, 11 on 11, all spring and all summer. Now, again, I think the Bengals behind closed doors are making another push to try to get something done. And I think that if we go back to last year, when did Joe Burrow's deal get done? The first game of the year kicked off Thursday night, Lions at Chiefs, 8:15 Eastern. 11 minutes later, 8:26, the Bengals and Joe Burrow reach agreement on a massive new deal that makes Burrow the highest paid quarterback in the game and still does. So that deal came 11 minutes into the opener. And I almost feel like we're on that type of trajectory where if he's going to play at all this week against New England, that deal has to get figured out in the next 48 hours. And even then, you might only be able to use him in certain situations like red zone spots, key third downs, whatever it may be. Maybe even dress them and you have them, but you don't even use them. Because the truth of the matter is they should be able to handle New England at home. The key thing here is that the Bengals play the Chiefs next week in week 2.
Yeah.
And that becomes, to me, a real leverage point for Jamar Chase. Because if somehow, some way, he's still not practicing and not playing in that game against that team, that impacts your ability in a game that could very well have seeding ramifications later in the season. So there's a lot riding on this. Both sides know it. Both sides are going to work to get it done, but it is a tricky deal to get done. My guess is somehow they figure it out. If it were me, I'm paying the guy. He's one of the best players in football. You're going to pay him. Just get it done now. Get him in the field. Get him in the lineup and move on. but that's not the way that this has proceeded.
Yeah, and you talk about the leverage of Jamar Chase having the Chiefs next week. He also has the leverage of the fine ain't nothing because his contract is so small. You know, it's like you miss a game check. Jamar's like, I'm okay with that. Yeah. Joe Burrow had a backless jacket on. That's worth more than one of my game checks at this exact moment. So hopefully they'll be able to get it sorted. If he missed the season, though, they can just roll over this year into next year. Like, if this got real messy, it could get very messy, right?
The contract would toll if he didn't play this year. You know, again, this is an extreme. We're not saying this is going to happen. We're going over the various scenarios. If he doesn't play this year and the contract tolls, I guess if I'm Jamar Chase, I say, so what? Well, I'm getting a new deal before I step out on the football field, whether that's now or in the offseason. Doesn't matter.
Well, good luck to Jamar. Good luck to the Bengals. Good luck to Joey Burrow.
Yeah.